Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today's Thursday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Discussion.
We discuss it. We talk about it. We study it a little.
It's not too heady, though. It's not too...
Yeah. Kastuba doesn't want us turning anybody off.
Yeah,
They're studying stuff on this podcast. I thought this was a fun podcast.
Yeah.
It's a show.
There you go.
Me and Mara are back from our birthday extravaganza.
Canoeing?
Yeah, we didn't get to go canoeing.
You didn't
yesterday.
canoe.
We didn't canoe, but we did other stuff.
Kind of painted a picture of canoeing on a lake, and it didn't happen at all.
It didn't quite happen. No, we just walked around, beautiful. But I did get some deep inspiration. You know what I'm going to do? I've already started. As soon as I got home, I started. I'm getting into a dry stone wall building. I'm gonna build a stone wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want something that lasts. You want to leave your mark on the world.
You know what? It's the closest thing we have to eternality in this world. Stone walls, and I want to be part of it.
Would
And
you like that to be your
beautiful
nickname, like Raghu Stonewall Capo?
Stonewall Jackson. It is a pretty cool nickname, but anyway, I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna get into stone.
Do you actually need a stone wall, or you just want to build one?
We actually were thinking about building a little bit of a stone wall because we built a patio, which was fun, which we never did before, out of flagstone, and now I'm gonna build a stone wall. And you know what? Yesterday I just got on the tractor, and I've been saving stones for the last 8 years. I have piles of them.
It takes a lot of stones to make a stone wall.
I know it does. But I've been looking for stones for years. Since I moved here, I've been collecting stones, and I know exactly where they are.
Oh,
And
you haven't collected them either, just out there.
No. Some I know where they're out there, and some I put in piles around the property, and now I'm bringing them to the stone wall place.
But you're gonna bring them there. You're gonna be like, oh, I've got like half a foot of stone wall here, and I need a lot more. I actually got to go out and spend money to get stones.
No, everything is going to be. I'm not going to spend a farthing on this thing.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope it comes out good. It's going to be humiliating.
I'll help if you want it. I'll come over.
It's a really good workout, and it's like you have to be with the stones. It's like it must be what it's like when you choose a deity. You know, you got to choose these deity carvers. They have to choose the deity. You have to look at the stone, see how it will be placed. Nope, not that one. Nope, that one can't. It's like building a giant puzzle. Anyway, that's what's on my mind. And I think it is a spiritual practice, by the way. It's maybe not directly. It can be. It can be a spiritual practice.
All right.
Okay.
Were we going to talk about Ravi Shankar, or maybe just... we can do it another time.
Why don't you say?
Well, you were talking about
before the show that you
met
you saw Ravi Shankar?
I didn't. I saw him perform with his daughter. It was just cool. It was
His daughter's incredible.
Well, we got tickets to go. What happened was, my wife at the time was a Montessori teacher,
Yeah.
and so one of the parents just gave her tickets to go see Ravi Shankar. I think like there's some big baseball game that night, and the father wanted to go to the baseball game instead. So they had these tickets to go see Ravi Shankar. Yeah, to go see Ravi Shankar and his daughter at Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
Yeah, so we got the tickets, and we had no idea where the seats were.
Where
And
were
so
they?
you walk, you walk through, and then you're trying to follow, and you're following, and suddenly starting to dawn us. I think these are good tickets. And then
Isn't that a great feeling when you get tickets like that? You're like, oh my God. Because usually people like you and me, we're way up.
yeah, totally.
We're way up in the North
Yeah.
Pole.
For ordinary
Right,
people. Yeah, total nosebleed.
We've
So,
got orchestra seats.
well, I was like, okay, it's one level up. Oh, it's kind of swung over near the side. We kept walking, kept following, and we got dropped in the very best seats,
Really?
like the Abraham Lincoln seats. Like
He got shot, by the way.
Yeah, but like on that first balcony, all the way by the stage.
That's
it
incredible.
was like the best. If like the president or someone, these are the seats they would have given him, and we just walked right into
That's
it.
a good feeling.
It was pretty cool. So we were just kind of just hovering right above them, watching them play. It was something. Yeah.
I guess yes. Okay, I won't get into it, but I got
All right,
seats like that once. Okay.
But we play rubbish. People don't know, but you have to tune in. If you tune in
To Zoom.
as a Zoomer to this podcast, about 100 people do every day, then we play a Ravi Shankar song with George Harrison, right? Ravi Shankar.
Which is a
George
great
Harrison.
song. It's a spiritual song. You
WG.
never get sick of it.
And then you greet everyone while we play that song. So that's why we're talking about Ravi Shankar.
You want to get greeted personally by me, you just tune in live at Zoom. Email Mara. Email Mara. She'll give you the codes. wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
Okay. Where did Mara go? We just need an announcement. She's
Oh,
gone.
the cats are whining.
Oh.
He was trapped in the laundry room. Okay, so she's back. Announcements are
Back to
morning.
recovery meeting today.
Yeah, we have Bhakti recovery meetings today at 9 a.m. and noon. If you go to bhaktirecoverygroup.com, you can get the meeting list and the Zoom codes for that. And
Okay.
tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., Josh Kane is offering his asana class to our Patreon members.
the Cult of Josh.
That's not the postural one. The postural
No,
one.
that's Anu's.
Okay.
All right.
We got a nugget today. We're gonna.
Oh, do we? Here it
Who's
is.
it
Here.
from?
This nugget is from Deepak Chopra.
And Deepak Chopra.
Ever meet Deepak Chopra?
I have met Deepak Chopra.
Really?
Mhm.
What were you doing?
What are we doing? I when I lived over on the east side,
Yeah.
a few blocks down Lexington Avenue. I lived on 96 and Lexington Avenue, and I think at 92nd and Lexington Avenue is the 92nd Street Y.
Were you in the Y with Deepak Chopra?
the 92nd Street YMCA it's not just like a regular YMCA. It's like a serious cultural center. So they got all kind of.
Really?
Oh yeah, biggest names in the world speak there and do presentations
I
there.
didn't know that. Mara's like, yes, of course. I'm sorry, you
92nd
guys. I
Street
didn't know
Y,
that.
Mr. Uncultured Stonewall guy over here.
The backwoods farmer. I didn't know you too.
And so Eddie Stern works a lot with Deepak Chopra, so he just brought me in, and then
Nice.
heard him talk, and we met him afterwards. But I like this quote. We definitely have some philosophical differences,
Yeah.
but we just certainly have a lot that we share in common. So I like this quote from him. Why don't you read it?
Yeah. Okay, here it is. From a pure heart, anything can be accomplished. If you ask what the universe is doing, it is eavesdropping on your every desire.
That I thought was very interesting right there. Right.
Mm.
You see, he says if you ask what the universe is doing. Now, we would say using the word universe here is an impersonal way, because what it really means, how we would say, there's a person behind the universe, right?
Sure.
It-
It's a very, very broad way of saying God without saying God, because God has so
Yeah.
many, bad implications, and people have a
Potential
history with
for some people.
a lot of people have a bad relationship with God. They don't want anything to do with God. So, I think it was in the 90s, people changed God
Okay,
to
was
the
it? Okay.
universe.
You know,
The
it's okay.
universe.
Well, and that may be more his understanding too. Like that there isn't an exactly a person behind it. So for him, it may, he may not just be trying to appease someone else's understanding or trying,
It
but
just
that
may
may be
be
his
the
own
way he
understanding.
sees.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
You
when we
should have
hear,
asked him. You should have asked him, hey, Deepak, you drop the universe word a lot. Do you actually believe that the God is the
Okay.
actual universe? Or is that a manifestation, a spark of his splendor?
Yeah, it's kind of like saying like, I mean, like what's on television, like there's someone behind the television that's like there's you know a person or a group of people that are putting what's on television. It's so like when he's any case, if you ask what the universe is doing, and this is, you see, to me, this gets right to the heart of something very essential. It is eavesdropping on your every desire, because really that's all that we control, right? So we would say, if you ask what Paramatma is doing, right, what God is doing, in a sense, what is God doing? We say, what is God doing? God's playing, right? He's just if you take it to the level of sweet baby Krishna, what is Krishna doing? He's
Playing.
roaming around the spiritual world having fun. He's got like lots of pets, like in these cows. He's got lots of friends. He's got girlfriends, right?
He's got boyfriends. He's got girlfriends.
He's got, and then he's got like all the adults. They just adore him, and he's just like moving
He's having
about.
picnics. He's having picnics on a regular basis.
He's having picnics. He's having fun fighting. Sometimes he's playing,
He's wrestling.
swimming.
He's doing what
He's having
kids do.
loving adventures. He's had romantic adventures. He's got love from his parents coming towards him.
Let me
He's
ask you a
sharing it
question.
back.
He doesn't kill demons, though, does he? He doesn't kill demons in the spiritual
not
world.
in the spiritual world.
That's only when he manifests on these planets.
Yeah. Yes.
And why is that? That's stupid,
Because those kind of characters don't make it into the spiritual realm.
Because they're not actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and what is it that what grants you that entry into that eternal realm? It has to do with your desire. You need to want it, right?
Yeah.
So he's there playing around, and then when we say, "Give me the illusion. I want to play separately from you. I want to be like you,"
Mhm.
Well, that doesn't really work. But we can give you. You can enter into this realm where you can try and fool around with that. That's the material world, and but he's going to go with us, even though he's going to stay there playing. He's going to extend himself in the form of the Paramatma. It's a form of Lord Vishnu. He goes in that form into the heart of every living being, and in a sense, he is eavesdropping on your every desire. He's waiting to see what is it you want. According to your karma, I'll grant it, right? And so he's providing so much direction and some circumstances arranging.
I'm getting this quote, right? I'm going to read this quote again. Just
All right.
people just driving in their car or something. From a pure heart, anything can be accomplished. If you ask what the universe is doing, it is eavesdropping on your every desire.
So when I first has to do with desire, right?
Yeah. Well, when I first read this, I was thinking like, here goes again. Everybody's thinking like the universe is just this order supplier. The universe is just this metaphysical Amazon Prime that you just desire things and you accept the abundance in your life and you accept that God is abundance and God wants us to be abundant. And that's not necessarily what it's saying here. But that's how I took it. From a pure heart, anything can be accomplished.
Well, yeah. So really, the whole goal of life is just to achieve that pure heart. It means what do I desire, right?
Maybe this verse, I don't know. Maybe, I'm questioning.
You warming up to it now?
Well, actually, I was warming up to it.
Oh,
Now I'm getting cold to it again.
What's going on?
Because it's almost like from a pure heart.
Yeah.
Because in the material world, and a lot of times, a lot of these self-help books, it's really about accomplishing.
Oh, see, you okay,
right?
I see where you're
accomplishing, and
okay.
You can do it, and you just got to desire it, and you're not desiring it, right? when you really surrender unto your desires, then the universe will fulfill your intentions.
I get what you mean. In other words, it sounds a little, it has a bit of a scent of a bit of a whiff of abundance preaching. What do you call that? Abundance, not abundance,
Yeah,
not abundance mentality, but what we call that?
the power of
No,
intention,
prosperity, prosperity.
prosperity gospel. You want to read
Yeah,
something about the
prosperity gospel.
prosperity gospel, Mary?
That's your objection?
That's a little bit of my objection.
Yeah, I get it. I get that.
From a pure heart. I don't think from a pure heart anything can be accomplished. From a pure heart, you get what Krishna wants you to do, and you're happy with that.
Okay, fair enough.
What do you think?
Fair enough. And that may be what he means, because I don't have the broader context of where this quote came from.
Yeah.
But I was taking it a different way, or at least, giving my own spin on it.
You're hearing it with the ears of a great soul. That's what I think is going on.
I was seeing it with hearing it with the ears. I was, I'm sorry. I was thinking that when the heart is pure, then you're actually free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's I'll go deeper into what I was thinking about this. That if we take these sacred texts, right? You take Bhagavatam, you go back to Bhagavad Gita, you go all the way back to the Upanishads. And it's providing a different idea of what success is. Like we've got like and it's really important. Like let's go back, if you go back to the four Vedas, it's got the standard default setting of what success is. That you have desires, and when you identify with the mind, you think those desires are me. Those desires are my desires. And so the default setting on what success is, you could say the popular model of what success is it has to do with the ability to satisfy your desires. I desire fame, I desire sex, I desire prestige, I desire material comforts. And if I'm able to get those things, achieve those things,
that's success.
Then I'm successful. Right?
I got what I want. You didn't. I'm so sorry you didn't. Follow my lead. You can get it.
Yeah. Now, so if the popular model of success has to do with our abilities to satisfy our desires, the yogic model of success has to do with our ability to modify our desires.
Ooh,
and people don't even think about this.
I like that. Modify your desires.
Modify desires. Like what, and here's the thing, Ronald, that like the sensation of pleasure that one experiences when the desire that we have has been met, you get an experience of pleasure, and that kind of reconfirms or reinforces the idea that this popular model of success is real. Like this is what life is all about, right? Because when I achieve my desire, I feel some pleasure, and it reinforces the idea that this is what life is meant for. But if you're more thoughtful, there's an inner witness. If the inner witness is tuned in, we observe that there's no satisfaction. Like I'm chasing something, I get it, I feel something, I chase more, I'm always chasing it. Whereas the yoga model, it has to do with, I'm going to consciously direct my mind, right? One is I'm going to chase the programming in my mind. That's the popular model. The yoga model is, I'm going to stop chasing. I'm going to consciously direct my mind. I'm going to modify my desires, and then I'm going to follow that path, and in the path that I've consciously laid out, and that's what freedom looks like.
I like it.
You get, in other words, so if I could, so therefore, if my desires become spiritual, you see, any spiritual path, any path towards success has to deal with how do you view desire, and how do you deal with desire? Now, the popular is, I follow desires, and I'm the slave to them. I work according to them. I chase them.
That's what everybody is opting into. Basically,
that's the default.
That's material life. That's bhakti. You run around, try to fulfill your desires, and if you fulfill them all, you win. In the course of a day, I got all my desires fulfilled. I won. Then you have people like Buddhists who say, well, no, actually, if you analyze it, it's your desires that are causing you a lot of pain.
Okay.
You've got to subjugate and bury your desires and get
see, that's interesting.
desireless.
Yeah,
You get
okay.
desireless.
That's and people interpret the Upanishads that way too, because the Buddhism is just grown straight out of the Upanishads, right? It's like it's
You take it back. That's where it
yeah.
is.
So, and what you said was really
That's why
important.
if you study Buddhism, it's so similar to everything we study.
Yeah, it's grown out of the same tradition.
Yeah.
So what you just said, Ragnar, really important. Like, so if I get the idea that, oh, my desires, I've been following my desires, chasing these desires, and they're not giving me any satisfaction, then desire needs to be wiped out. Then I'll be free.
Mm-hmm.
And so and you can read the Upanishads and come to that conclusion, although what our Bhakti commentators would say is you haven't fully understood them. So it needs a more explicit presentation, and that's what you find in Gita and in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is that no, these desires don't need to be killed. As a matter of fact, by nature, desire is a natural part of your very constitution. It's just a question of where your desires are directed, right? When they're selfish desires to satisfy the senses, you will not find satisfaction on the path. But when they're selfless, and this is the pure heart, right? From a pure heart, anything can be desired. When your desires are pure, when they're all about love, which is a selfless giving, then it's kind of like a Zen-like thing, right? When you stop desiring things just for you, you get everything, right? You get freedom, you get the satisfaction that you've been looking for. And so the Paramatma is right there in the heart, eavesdropping on our every desire. What do you want? Do you want the material realm? Do you want to satisfy your sense? Still, after all this, after so many births, you're still okay. We can arrange that for you. Or do you want freedom? If you really want freedom, I'm right here and I'm ready to talk to you. I'm ready to give you direction. I'm ready to, with great love and compassion, I'm ready to give you every experience that you need and help you interpret that experience so that you get yourself out of this maze, so that you kind of break your shackles and become free and return to me. All you need to do is show me that that's what you desire, that that's what you want, and I'm here to help.
And you may not get your desires fulfilled, your material desires, your other desires, but I'll give you me.
Yeah.
And that will minimize all your other desires.
Right. All right, Raghu.
Right. It was a nice little entrance. And I'm
thing.
glad you got to meet Deepak.
I met Deepak. Yeah, I said hello.
Henry says he met him in an elevator, or he didn't meet him. He was probably in the elevator with him, but didn't.
Have you ever met a famous person in an elevator?
In an elevator, no. But you know who sat down right next to me at a table? Next to me, like in a chair. It was like a big community table.
Okay.
Kramer.
Oh, Kramer.
Kramer from Seinfeld sat right next to me. And guess what he was like? Exactly like he was like on the television show. He was. It wasn't hard to play Kramer.
Did he like
Kramer
almost like fall off his chair or something like that?
He was like that. He was like just as crazy as he was. Yeah, it wasn't playing a character.
That guy is the master of, what did they call it? Kinetic comedy or something like that? Like physical comedy?
I don't know.
You know who I met in a
someone wrote on the message board, he's a master chess player.
Oh. You know who I met in an elevator, Raghunath?
Who?
Run and Russell.
You met Run?
Yeah.
Or Run DMC Run?
Yeah. But he was a priest, Reverend Run.
Reverend Run.
And Russell Simmons, his brother.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I saw them backstage with
Beastie Boys.
The Beastie Boys, yeah.
All right. Enough of that.
Okay. 1987.
I heard about that. Everyone go back to our interview with Mike D and Eddie Stern. That was something like June of maybe May of
2020, maybe.
Yeah.
We got some good interviews back in 2020. We got to bring it
Moby,
back.
We got Mike D.
That was pretty good. That was like the heyday of
Wisdom of the
Sages.
We got to try that again. We got to reach out again.
Yeah.
Reach out again to Chrissy Hine. Reach out to Boy George.
Yes. Yeah, they both dropped us. We got to get them back.
Did we try Boy George? I don't think we ever tried
Can't
him.
remember.
Christy Hine dropped this. But I think it was kind of like a maybe
No,
some
Christy
other
Hine
time.
didn't really drop it. She was just like busy at the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we go back,
Get the Madhavas. Got to get the Madhavas
what
on there.
I don't know what you're waiting for on the Madhavas. That one's wide open. That door is open for you, brother.
Who else can we get? Anyway, oh, we got to get the guy from The Office. What's his name? Dwight.
Oh yeah,
from The Office.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson.
We got some good ones. You know what? I think yes. I think this is our next move. Wisdom of the Sages. All right. Oh, you know who just
Narayani is saying that her guru Kripamoy
knows
who's a big
Boy
fan of the
George.
show.
You
knows
know
Boy
what?
George.
All right. I'll call
All right.
Kripamoy Prabhu.
Let's make this happen.
Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. We can get him.
Okay.
Okay.
People are throwing all kind of names.
Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon. Is Matt Dillon?
Matt Dillon used to hang out in the hardcore scene. He used to hang out at CB's like back in '82. You'd see him there.
Wait a second. Chris Pitt just is mentioning that he met Matt Dillon.
Oh,
He's
these
not
are
a
people he
spiritual
met.
guy,
Okay.
is he? Because he said he met them all in elevators. Well, I
Elevator
know,
meeting?
but I don't want to just. It's not like we're trying to interview anybody you met in an elevator. They have to have something to do with the Bhagavatam.
That's not what he was saying. He
We
was
have
just
to
sharing
create a
that.
bridge somehow.
Okay. All right. Speaking of bridge, how about a bridge to the Bhagavatam with our sacred mantras?
Yes. You bridge bossy. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting a Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshvabhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. You know what we do, Kastuba? We take the middle of the Bhagavatam. Usually you have a Bhagavatam class, you speak on a verse, and you start to, you tease the whole thing out. We switch it around by we extract some important point.
Yeah.
And then we find a nugget that has to do with that point. So we're doing sort of like, we do the Bhagavatam sort of in reverse. We extract like the center of the conversation of the Bhagavatam, and then we talk about it first. So it's all the Bhagavatam anyway. All our nuggets. We're not wasting time. It is the Bhagavatam. We're just sort of talking
Just putting
about
it up front.
We're putting it up front.
Okay.
Yeah. Just for all you people who are like, come on, get into the Bhagavatam. It's all the Bhagavatam.
Okay.
This is the whole world. You can tie the whole thing back to the Bhagavatam, and then it becomes the Bhagavatam. And as devotees of Krishna, as Bhakti yogis, we are seeing the entire world, even building a stone wall. We are tying it all in with Krishna somehow, with spiritual truth, with liberation.
I think it's a good nickname, Stonewall. If you build a wall,
You're going to call me Stonewall?
I'll start calling you Stonewall.
Oh, okay. I love nicknames. I've only had one nickname my whole life. Do you know what it is?
Ray of Today.
Oh, no, that was a nickname too. No, it was Scooter. Scooter was my nickname as a child.
Scooter.
Scooter.
Okay. Scooter's for
Good name, wasn't it? Scooter. I asked for it. I asked my... Yes, it was self-proclaimed. I asked my father to give me a nickname. He said, yeah, sure. What nickname? I said, Scooter.
All right.
Stonewall Capo sounds tough as nails. Yeah, Stonewall. All right, good.
Sounds a little southern. Sounds a little, what's the word?
It could be like the Stonewall riots.
Confederate. It sounds a little Confederate.
It could be the Stonewall riots, which was the opposite.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay.
There
you go.
All right. It's however you want to view me, according to your political sway.
Confederate, pro
Confederate,
pro
LGBTQ. Yeah, however, but for me, it's just building stone walls.
Okay. Spiritually.
Okay.
Let's get started here.
All right. We are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. chapter
25.
chapter 25, and what text do you want to do?
We're up to text number 6. We're hearing about Ananta, this mysterious
Stonewall.
manifestation of God's potency that is sometimes described in a snake-like form, sometimes described in a human-like form.
Sometimes reptilian forms. Some people
Well, that would be the
describe it as
snake.
that.
And so we heard a bit about where he's at and a bit about him, but we're going to hear descriptions of his mercy, of how kind he is, and so on. As we move forward here, I think we're at text 6. We're hearing about him as Ananta. From Ananta comes Sankarsana, Shankarshan,
Shankarshan.
and I think we're at text 6 now.
Yeah. Okay. Lord Shankarshana is the ocean. We should get a Sanskrit pundit. I really want to know how to say this. I've been saying it wrong for years.
It's right there. Sankarsana. No long A's.
Sankarsana.
No SH sound on the first.
Why do you say Sankarshana?
Huh?
You're saying it with a long A. Sankarshana. That's not Karshana. It's Sankarshana. Sankarshana.
Sankarsana. Because
Why
it has the
putting
R, you have to
accent?
say it has the R.
I'm not gonna. I love you, but I'm not gonna believe you
Sankarsana.
on this one. I want it qualified by a Sanskrit pundit. I love you. Don't take an offense. I just don't believe you. You're not my Sanskrit guru.
I'm offended. It's right there. Sankarsana.
Lord Shankarshan is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Anantadev.
That's right.
He is he's non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So this is like how the Lord expands into many forms. So he's non-different.
Yeah. I like the word extends. I'm using that word now more than expands, because expands, it means like one thing gets bigger, right? Where extends means like it's kind of
extends. Okay. For the welfare of all the living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. He's restraining that.
Because he's again, in one sense, this is all play, and it's kind of like he's going to just destroy. When we were kids, right? I remember we would just go try to find like an abandoned car and just like beat it up, just like get a baseball bat. It's like there's some pleasure in destruction. Right?
That's all I know.
That's all. That's the only pleasure I know.
That's why I'm building this stone wall. I never create anything. I just destroy.
Yeah. Okay. So the Lord has this pastime where it's like, okay, time to destroy, and he extends in all these ways, and it starts to destroy. So he's known as Anantadeva, means he's that God, he's that Deva that is Ananta. He's unlimited, right? So because he's an ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, he's known as Anantadev.
You know what? It's nice to think of it like that, because there's actually a pleasure in destruction, as there's a pleasure in creation, as there's a pleasure in maintenance.
Yes.
It all comes back to our own pleasures. We have pleasure. We take pleasure in those. You take pleasure in building a sandcastle. You also take pleasure in kicking it down.
That's what we heard yesterday, right? Every sensation is originally found in the spiritual body, right? And especially, Krishna's original body or his extended bodies, right?
You know what always like bothered me, and I finally came to peace with it when my kids were little. Why does Lord Balaram carry a plow? Now, if you look what a plow is, when we think of a plow, we think of something hooked to a workhorse or a bull. But a plow, when they talk about a plow, like a haladar, like halasana we do in yoga,
kind of like a baseball bat.
No, well, it's not like a baseball bat. It's like a pick, like a stone pick, like a guy's working in the soil, picking through the hard clay soil.
Like a hoe.
Like a hoe or a pick. That's what he's carrying around. Why is he carrying around a plow?
Because you can mess people up with that if you want.
Well, I know you could, but there's other weapons. Why not a baseball bat or a club? He does carry a club. So why a plow, though? And you know what? It's interesting. When my kids were little, like real little, like 4 years old, they would just carry around with them various tools, just like for no good reason. Maybe imitating their parents, carrying around a rake. They just drag a rake around with them, or drag a shovel, or drag a garden hoe, something like that. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, there's some
Yes.
feeling of like I'm doing something. I think Balaram's just like a little kid. He's just carrying
simple
pick.
pleasure, is originating that way. And again, it was actually the title of yesterday's show. All sensations originally exist in the spiritual body.
I believe that.
So Balaram, he's
believe
got,
that.
and for people that can't, if someone just told me plow, I'd be thinking like a snow plow or something like that, but like
Yeah.
a plow is, it's like a stick that's on the end of it. It's got like extending horizontally, or what out of that stick is like, a sharp kind of end.
Well, it's a pointed end to dig and a flattened end to, I don't know.
Excuse me, a what, Mr. Country Boy? What was it you said? A what end?
A flattened end.
A flattened.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then you would hook that up between, two oxen or something like that, and push it into the ground and plow the land. So yeah, Balaram carries one. And why did you bring that up? Oh, wait till you get to the next verse. Did you see the next verse?
Well,
the next verse.
I didn't even read the next verse. Don't tell me it's got something to do with the plow.
This is gonna blow your mind, Raghunath. Go ahead.
Oh my God. There is a God.
And here's my point about how mysterious this Anantadev is, because when you read this verse, it sounds like it's talking about Balaram.
Yeah. Okay, ready? Sukadeva Goswami said, the demigods, the demons, the uragas, the serpentine
demigods,
the uragas, the serpentine,
yeah,
the whole reptilian thing. It's so funny how that's such a conspiracy theory. That's one of the original conspiracy theories of like the 80s.
Reptile people.
It's real. I'm not saying it. The Siddhas, the Gandharvas, the Vidyadharas, and the many highly elevated sages constantly offer prayers to the Lord because he is intoxicated. The Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in bloom, move to and fro. He pleases He pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by the sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. This is like a crazy.
Now let's just go right down the Balaram checklist. Okay,
right.
He's
Okay,
looking intoxicated.
It's quite beautiful. Lotus-like eyes,
pleasing his devotees.
Yeah, dressed in bluish garments. That's Balaram.
Check.
And wearing a single earring. I didn't know that. I didn't know Balaram.
I think Nityananda does
earring.
That. Who is Balaram?
What? That's interesting. A single earring.
And now here's just the one that's just a dead giveaway. Next.
He holds a plow on his back. I didn't read that.
It's Balaram.
He holds a plow. I'm thinking like Sukadeva Goswami now. He holds a plow on his back with his two beautiful and well-constructed hands.
Check.
You know what? That is a beautiful thing. A person with like strong hands, it's a beautiful thing. Okay. Appearing as white as the heavenly king Indra. Because he's white. Yeah, that's what Balaram is. And he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Vajayanti garland of ever-fresh Tulsi blossoms around his neck. If you've never been to India, but you've heard of Tulsi and you've heard the sacredness of Tulsi, and you've even seen a Tulsi plant, you can't even imagine they make these Tulsi garlands in India that are, you can see, like, where do you get this many Tulsis?
Especially in South India, it's like,
oh my God,
tons. Yeah.
Tulsi garlands. It's the most incredible thing you've ever seen. Yeah. Okay. Bees intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of Tulsi flowers.
Right. It's just like
hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus become more and more beautiful. And in this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. Did you know beekeepers live extraordinarily long compared to the rest of society?
I didn't know that.
It's true. Okay.
Now this is nice here, Raghunath. And this, I think this will get. Oh yeah, this gets to Deepak Chopra, the thing about the heart, the contamination within the heart, the pure heart, but also just this gets now down to this essential stuff about how we practice bhakti. Go ahead.
If persons who are very serious about being liberated from the material life hear the glories of Anantadev from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Shankarshana, The Lord. Now you've got me mental and I can't even say it. The Lord enters the cores of their hearts. Let's say that again quickly. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from material life, okay, it's us, hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouths of spiritual masters in the chain of disciplic succession.
It's a qualified hearing about it, right? That was we got to talk about that, but let's keep going.
Qualified hearing, yeah. And if they always meditate upon Shankarshana, the Lord enters into the core of their hearts.
All right.
It's happening to some of the people right now listening to the show. Lori Pag, the Lord's entering into the core of her heart.
Right now, I can see it.
I can see it. Jeff Eisenberg into the core of his heart. Sage Group AM. It was gonna enter the core of their heart, but they took a break and they stepped away from the camera. Get back here. They can't even. Anyway, and he cuts through. Oh, this is a good one. He vanquishes all dirty contamination of material modes of nature and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities.
Okay.
Oh my God. That reminds me of people trying to climb Mount Everest. Doesn't it seem like that? I just want to dominate this world. But it's not just that.
It's everything. It's every desire that we
I want to
have.
I want to control everything.
I want a bar of chocolate. You want to dominate. You want to take that aspect of material energy and
use it for your ego.
And engage it towards your false understanding of yourself. Exactly.
Your false. That's a nice way to say it. Towards my ego. So I show that. See, I am valid in this world. I am a creator. I am a controller.
I am the enjoyer.
I am the enjoyer.
Ishvaraham aham.
There we go. Say that. I was about to say that first, and you said it. Say it, Kasuba.
Ishvaraham aham bogi. I am the Ishvaraham. I'm the controller. Aham bogi. I'm the enjoyer.
This is chapter 16.
Yeah, it's these two ideas that basically got us going in this world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, there's some more to that.
It cuts it. Narada Muni, the son of the Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument, known as a tumbaru.
Tumbaru. All right. Tumbaru. So let's take a look at this organ. We just heard some interesting stuff. It says that if you hear the glories of Anantadeva, if you hear the glories of Krishna, right? This is an extension, right, of Krishna. Sounds like an extension of Balaram, who is an extension of Krishna.
Right.
And if you hear not just anybody describing, but you hear it, it was mentioned here, from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession. Not somebody with their own ideas, somebody that's representing this tradition, right? So you're hearing it in the right way. And based on that hearing, because what you hear affects what you think, right? If you begin to always meditate upon the Lord like this, if that becomes where your mind starts to naturally go, well, then something happens. That Krishna, three things were mentioned: enters the core of your heart, vanquishes. This is where we get to you monitoring those desires, right? What did Deepak Chopra say? That the universe is eavesdropping on our every desire, right? So entering the core of the heart and where the desires reside, vanquishing. When you hear this, it sounds kind of religious and everything, but the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature.
It doesn't sound religious to me. It sounds like, oh yeah, yes, I am dirty and contaminated. I get that. You don't have, that's not religious. That's just like, we get it. We're absorbed in Maya. We've been doing filthy things with our consciousness for forever. I get that. I want it clean. But clean it up, please.
You could use the computer kind of metaphor here instead too. You could say like those files that are corrupted, that are creating problems. You know,
there you go. Corrupted files.
Yeah.
Our consciousness is filled with corrupted files.
Yeah.
We need some McAfee. What are those called?
Norton antivirus.
Antivirus malware.
Yeah. There's all kind of malware in there. It's just like it's causing the whole thing not to work properly. So in one sense, it's just you don't have to throw in that kind of judgmental kind of feel dirty, contaminated. You know, you can approach it that way, and it can be very helpful. But it can also, if that turns you off, then just think of it as like, I got these problematic programming in my mind, and those files need to be dealt with. Okay, so he's going to vanquish that, and then
I like this
cut
third
to,
one. I like this third one.
cut to
because-
piece. It's called the Hridaya Grunta, right? The knot in the heart.
If you can imagine like tying your shoes as a kid and you get like you miss the bow, you do the first part of tying your shoe, and then you miss the bow and you pull it hard and it just a knot. It just makes like this knot, and you're like, Mom, can you untie this knot, please? You remember being a kid and getting like a knot in your shoe? And it's
I remember knot, and then you pull, and then the thing snaps off too. And now you're really stuck.
Right. And sometimes you're just left to untangle knots, or sometimes in a necklace, you get a knot in a fine piece of jewelry or something. And it's just like, how do I get this out? Guess what? Sometimes you just, that knot is our desires and our attachment to things of this world. They call it the Hridaya Grunta, the knot in the heart that ties us to this material body as the self. I am Raghunath. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a parent. I'm a father. We have so many layers and layers of gross and sub identities in this material world. And I'm not any of them.
Right.
And I've been saying, we need rights for this. We need rights for this. We need spiritual rights. We need to identify ourselves as spiritual. That's our real identity. That's where we find peace in this world. I'm never going to find peace in my secondary identity, because it's not lasting. There'll be a time where, people will like me and respect me and validate me in culture. Then there'll be a time where I'll be oppressed. I'll be beaten. I'll be hated for what I am in culture. But I'll always find a peace on a more subtle level, on my spiritual level. And this is where we're always getting guided towards.
Right.
Cutting the knot of the heart of that false identity.
Okay. Now, we were talking earlier, Raghunath, right, about like how any path towards success, what to speak of a spiritual path, we need to hear, like if someone were going to lay out, okay, here's 10 different paths, you could follow for success in life and for happiness and satisfaction. Our first question would be like, okay, I want to see how each one of you paths, I want to see how you deal with desire. How are you going to handle that? Right. I got this programming in my mind that's desires things. How are you going to deal with that? And one path, like the materialistic default path, would say you got to satisfy those desires. Let's make more money.
Fulfill those desires.
Money is going to fulfill those desires. So we got to make as much money as possible. And here are the occupations where you can make more money. And
sex will fulfill it. You got to be better looking. You got to be better looking. You got to trim those eyebrows. You got to trim your beard. That wasn't directed towards you, by the way. I like your eyebrows.
Thank you. You see, Raghunath, the difference between me and you is I didn't think you were saying it about me.
Well, you have very prominent eyebrows, but not in a bad way.
But I didn't.
Part of your look.
I didn't take it personally. I didn't, because I trust you so much.
But I was just thinking like trim your beard, get a haircut. You have to appeal in this world, to fulfill his desires.
So that would be one. And then like, let's say the impersonalist spiritualist, right, would say you need to eliminate those desires.
You got to kill those desires. Desires are killing you. You need to minimize.
Remove yourself from the world, remove yourself from family and society, and contemplate how those desires are illusory until they disappear. That's the Jnanic approach. Reflect on the illusory nature of matter and break those desires. And then here's the Bhakti one. For Bhakti yogis, actually, it's kind of a twofold strategy, right? We do that. We read our Bhagavad Gita and our Bhagavatam, and we do reflect on the illusory nature of material matter. So that Jnanic approach is there, right? But then what's mentioned in this verse is like we give it like a turbocharge.
Turbocharge.
Right? What is a turbocharge exactly like in an engine?
I don't know.
How do you not know that?
I know I should. It's a type of engine.
But it's this booster, right?
I'm sure we got like a gearhead on the listening to the show right now.
It's like you get this booster that's super powerful, supercharged, right? So the Bhakti yogis, they are doing what the Jnanis do. They are reflecting on the illusory nature, but then they're also doing this supercharged power thing where they hear and remember. Because that's what was mentioned here, right? It said, you hear from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession about Krishna. And then
Mhm.
you always meditate upon that. So you remember, you reflect on what you heard. But when it's specifically about the glories of Krishna, that type of hearing, that kind of, we call it shravana, right? It's one of the fundamental
Yeah.
practices in bhakti. That's like supercharged with power. And when you do it, when you're the jnani is reflecting on the illusory nature of matter.
Mm.
The bhakti yogi is also hearing and remembering the descriptions of spirit, right? So it's not just like the negation, but then it's the positive application, particularly on that original spirit, Sri
I like
Krishna.
that. I like that spin
Right.
you're putting on this. Yes.
Okay. Then he enters the heart. He starts to take control. He does what the jnanis all on their own trying to break those attachments in the mind. I'm going to do it on my own power. The bhakti yogi, by remembering Krishna, they're calling Krishna right into the heart. He's doing the work, right?
Mhm.
It turbocharges it. It supercharges it. It makes it so much easier. If we have time, we could dip into this commentary, Raghunath. It's a pretty good one. Maybe if
Yeah, let's
maybe
go.
just the
Let's go.
the second paragraph, because we don't have so much
Of
time.
8? Of 8?
Of text 8, yeah.
Alrighty. Second paragraph. Here we go. The Vaishnavas in our lineage, Gaudiya Vaishnava, Gaudiya
Bhakti yogis,
Sampradaya,
right? Yeah.
right? The Bhakti Yogis belong to a disciplic succession stemming from Lord Brahma.
Okay.
Lord Brahma is the spiritual master of Narada, and Narada is the spiritual master of Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary of the Vedanta Sutra.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting? By the way, it's giving an age in one sense to the Vedanta Sutra. Because academicians, you can tell I'm not one of them because I can't even say the word of what they are. Academicians, they try. I'm sure they try to date the Vedanta Sutra sometime historically, but here it's saying the Vedanta Sutra is ancient. Therefore, all the devotees in this lineage accept the activities of Lord Ananta related in the Srimad Bhagavatam as authentic.
Okay.
And they are thus benefited by going back home, back to Godhead. The contamination in the heart of a conditioned soul is like a huge accumulation of garbage created by the three gunas, the three modes of material nature, especially the modes of rajas and tamas.
Okay.
Yep, we are like garbage trucks just driving around, stinking up the neighborhood. Right, me and Marilyn went on a beautiful japa walk the other day,
collecting
on
more
the
garbage.
on the train tracks, and part of the and it was a lot, and a train came
Hold
by.
it. Look at this. I'm just trying to picture this romantic country scene. Two of you walking
I think
down
I posted
the train
some
tracks,
pictures the other day
holding
when you had
hands.
those beautiful sunsets. We weren't holding hands; we were chanting japa. This was the night of the rainbow, the crazy skies. I posted some pictures, but anyway, that was on train tracks. So we heard a train coming, so we got off the tracks, and then the train came, and we were like, "Oh, this is sort of cool and sort of scary." But a lot of the cars of the trains were just carrying garbage, and it stunk like anything. And so I was thinking, this is the mind of the living entity. And of course, some trains are a lot smellier than others, because if it's filled with rajas and tamas, those trains are going to stink. If our minds are filled with rajas and tamas, ignorance and passion, they're going to stink, and we're going to stink up wherever we go.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, I'm not pointing fingers. I've seen that in my own life to the degree that I'm immersed in rajas and tamas. I'm affecting my entire community, my entire family. Huh?
Yeah. Me too. I've done it.
This contamination becomes manifest in the form of lusty desires and greed for material possessions. As confirmed herein, unless one receives transcendental knowledge in disciplic succession, there is no question of them becoming purified of this contamination.
Okay. So, the Lord is there in the heart of every living being, eavesdropping on our desires. But we can just demonstrate, hey, I've had enough of these material desires. I don't want to be controlled by them anymore. I want the freedom to be able to reconnect with that divine source of love, and that the real happiness, the real pleasure, the spiritual pleasure that's behind it all. And how do we do that? We hear every day, right? Enters the heart, starts the cleanup.
Showing up.
All right. I think we're out of time, Rogu.
All right. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I had a great spiritual download in the midst of you talking.
Oh yeah.
You know, because we were talking about Buddhism and the suppression of desires and how they're so similar in so many ways.
Yeah.
You know, it's like all the techniques, the mindfulness and the practices and the spiritual practices and the mantras. It's almost like a very beautiful house, but they're missing the owner of the house. The owner of that beautiful house is sweet Krishna. So you can go into the house and you think, look at this beautiful house. That's the look, that's analyzing the material realm. But there's actually an owner of the house whom the goal of Bhakti is to get to know. You like that? Like where I'm going with that analogy? I'm going to work on that more. I'm going to work on that more.
So it's not just the universe. The universe is like a house.
It's like a house. It's a beautiful universe. Very beautiful universe. Charming universe.
Okay.
Okay.
Mara.
Miss Mara, give us some nugget truth bomb goodies. By the way, there was a store called the Goodies Shop yesterday somewhere in Vermont that I thought you would appreciate. I took a photo of it for you.
Okay.
All right. Yogic success is modifying desires, not fulfilling them.
Okay.
That's a goodie. That's a goodie takeaway.
Opt out of the default of chasing our desires.
Goodie.
See the entire world is tied into the Bhagavatam.
Goodie.
Purify your heart and make your desires selfless.
Goodie.
Every sensation is a reflection of the spiritual original.
Very good. I got this word from my mom. My mom will call everything goodie. You want some goodie? Goodie? Want a goodie drink? Want a goodie drink? She would make me goodie.
You were
goodie,
a child
goodie
at the time, and so you most of us drop those things at a certain point in life.
Well, when you have kids, you bring back those things.
Bring them back.
But want some goodie milk?
The majority of our audience is not kids, so that's
Goodie toast. You make goodie toast too. I started making goodie toast. Too rude. All right. Krishna is the controller and enjoyer.
Goodie.
Ishvaraham, a humble. We think we are.
Our consciousness is contaminated by malware.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that.
That's not good. That's bad.
Why
do you like that?
I'll never find peace in my secondary identity.
That's a goodie.
If our minds are filled with Rajas and Tamas, they'll stink.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's hard to be named Thomas. In Vedic culture. We gotta get all the Thomases out there. We're gonna get you initiated and change your name.
Except for Thomas Haribol.
Except for Thomas Haribol. Yeah, we'll initiate him too. Okay, ready? Here's the last one. And
don't stonewall the Bhagavatam.
Oh.
Ooh.
Stonewall.
Thank you, Bhavananda.
Stonewall cap.
Old Stonewall. Stuba.
Build that wall.
I see you. Build that wall.
Build that wall.
It's a wall. It will have a gate to let you in the wall.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Got a lot of people joined us a little late. I didn't get to say hello to. That is Cookinath. Did I say hello to Cookinath? Viva. Is that an Indian Viva? Well, good morning to you. Laura Chicago, good morning. Hi. If you, Jim Wood, and if you want me to say hi to you, all you got to do is join us live on Zoom. It's fun. You get to see all these people's faces. You got email Mara. Wisdom of the Stage is one way to listen to us wherever you get podcasts. You can do that too. Hey, Todd Harris, good morning to you. And Martine, keeping the dancing alive. We almost visited you yesterday, Martine. We talked about you. We're not that far. We should just go to Martine's house, drop in.
Where does Martine live exactly?
We're pretty far.
We're pretty far away.
She lives in Maine.